All right, well, we got the second port light, that one over there. Got that one installed, at least on the inside portion anyways. It's in, mounted, and not too bad. Tell you what, man, it's very tricky right here because this is a radius, and anyways, the plywood does not like to bend to match this. Yep, and you gotta be really careful not to over tighten those screws because a little too tight and it will crack. So we're about as tight as we want to get on these fasteners. Anyways, not too bad. Didn't get as far as I wanted to, but we got these in, which is nice. Hopefully no leaks over the next few days if it rains. And we'll be back up here in a couple days to check on it. So anyways, not too bad for progress.
Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back.
So this week's update, work continues in the aft cabin, making templates from the door skin and hand fitting for a nice fit before we transfer those onto Teak panels. Also, we finally installed one of our new rebuilt aft Portlights.
Yep.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And we are doing minor repair in the gel coat.
Yeah.
And of course, we continue to make slow process in the galley overhead structure project.
So yeah, we're gonna continue working in the aft cabin. We want to make new teak panels back there. So we're gonna use door skin first as our mock-up, and then once we get a good hand fit with those, meaning a lot of hand sanding and transferring angles and shapes and corners and all that stuff, getting a good fit, then we'll transfer that all onto teak panels and we'll do a final hand fit with that. So it's a long labor intensive process, but in the end it's going to turn out beautiful. So, and we're also going to be working to install one of our newly rebuilt port lights back there, so that's going to be a big first for us, and hopefully that will all go well and we won't have any leaks with that. And then also we're going to do a little repair in the gel coat back there because if you remember right from previous videos, there's that crack around it where they did like a mistake in the cutout or whatever. And so we're going to repair that and try to make that look decent. We'll fill it in with some epoxy and stuff like that. And then, yeah, we continue to make progress in the galley overhead. That's just the gift that keeps on giving week after week. That's going to be one of those long, enduring projects. It's just going to continue to evolve. And slowly we'll gain our confidence and we'll make, better decisions, better repairs, and work our processes faster once we kind of get our experience under us. But yeah, that's what we got going on for this week. So hang in there and let's see how far we can get. We're pretty optimistic on this list of items that we want to get done. So we'll see how far we get into this. But yeah, it should be good. All right. So what we got going on here is I went ahead and epoxied back in place this panel. This plywood here that was originally there was a rotted piece in here I cut out, and went ahead and we're gonna go ahead and fiberglass tab this into place next. But I'll tell you, putting epoxy on overhead, messy. Pro tip: get somebody else to do it because it ain't no fun. Anyways, I gotta keep going here. So, but yeah, we're getting there. This is a little bit of progress here. So eventually we'll close this whole area in and it'll be all new epoxy coated plywood with fiberglass tabbing and thickened epoxy holding it in on the edges here. So that's getting there. Anyways, all right, well, what a mess. But yeah, we got it tabbed in there. May not be beautiful. It's not what you would call a thing of beauty, but it's gonna work, and it's gonna hold this panel in there just fine. We got thickened epoxy on the edges and up in the front and on all the inside of the tabs, and then we tabbed it in with just real light fiberglass tabbing, and what a mess. You know, everything drips down when you're working overhead like this, and it goes everywhere. So, but anyways, for better or for worse, it's in, and hopefully never coming back out. Anyways, there you go. Big piece of progress going on there. A little bit of time passed, and let's check on the fiberglass epoxy. Well, it's all cured already. Oh yeah, see? Rock solid. Very nice. Right on. That turned out really good, actually. Huh. I'm kind of impressed. Yep. So now that's rock solid, which is a good thing. So I'm happy with that. That turned out really good. It was very messy in the beginning, but man, it turned out nice. Right on. Okay, so the next step's gonna be we'll paint some more up here, and then we'll put in the next segment next time. And then what we'll do is I'll sand really good in between here, get this nice and scuffed up, and then we'll put a lot of thickened epoxy on this when we slide the next piece in. And then we'll also fiberglass tab it going across this way as well. But yeah, nice. Turned out really good. Very happy with that. All right. We're definitely making a mess today, that's for sure. But we're making some progress too. So we gotta get this area closed up over here. And we'll get there. And then we'll close up that part and open up more. And then back here, we're gonna see about mounting the other port light on that side today. I know it's gonna be a disaster. I have not had any luck with doing port lights yet. Well, I got one in, but I'm waiting for it to rain because I want to make sure it doesn't leak. But hopefully it doesn't. And then we're working on the panel for that, which is this piece right here. So we have that pretty much trimmed to fit. It's way better than what we had in there before, because that's that white plastic junk they had over there. And then we got some opportunities to work out up here with this delaminating plywood here. And so I'm going to take that down after I get everything all fitted. I'm going to take that down and I'll make a new piece for that. I brought some 1/2-inch plywood here. We probably won't get to that today, but anyways. And eventually then we're going to have to take the wood trim off of this aft bulkhead here and cut the bulkhead open, because I know that the chain plate's leaking there, and I'm expecting some rotted core in there. But once we get all these panels fitted up and new ones made, then we'll tear that apart and redo the core in there. But I think today we're gonna go ahead and knock this out and at least get the port light mounted, hopefully, or at least get the holes located for it. I don't know, but that's what we're gonna work on today. Hopefully have more success with that one than we did the last one. Anyways, that's what we got going on. And yeah, we're making some progress. It's kind of nice. It's fun. Like to get these port lights in here. Like to mount the rest of this trim. Like to put on the final stages of varnish. I'd like to be done back here. So we're getting there. But man, it's a warm one in here today. Sweating like crazy. But yeah, that's what's going on there. Yeah, so see, I even have the whole companionway open today. Another project going on right there. Gonna running wires down to the bilge area, and gonna put a remote bilge control panel up there. So eventually all these windows are gonna come out, all that damaged wood paneling is gonna come out, and then we'll replace it with teak plywood, and it'll be nice. It'll be very, very nice looking when it's all done. So, yep. Anyways, so I have lots of templates already made up, and those go up in the those go up there over the galley. And then we have some. This is the hatch cover plywood trim. It's all ready to go in. That'll be one of the things I'm going to put in next now that I have that first piece in, because everything locates off of that. And then put the trim ring back on. One thing here, the forward berth is actually really pretty good shape, so not a lot of work. We're not expecting to do a lot of work in here, which is nice. But anyways, definitely going to upgrade the lights. Those are garbage. Definitely garbage. So anyways, that's what's going on. So, yep. Anyways, wasn't able to get the washer dryer working, but we'll figure it out. It's low on the priority list right now, but we'll mess with it one of these times later. If not, then you know what, we'll get something. We'll get a newer model in there. Hopefully it'll be a little bit lighter, easier to move in and out. So, all right, back to work. Okay, we're going to transition from the galley overhead project to the aft cabin panels, the overhead panels over the bed area. We're going to go ahead and transfer over to those now and start working on that. If you remember in last week's video, we got the other side pretty well fitted, and so now we want to do the same thing on this side so that we'll have both panels fitted and ready to install later on down the road. We'll have two beautiful teak panels to put in place of where that white plastic once was. That turned out pretty good. We got that fit up there really nice. That's going up underneath there. And that turned out good. And this side, we still have to make a new one for that side. So I'll take that one off and make a template. Practice making a new one like I did the other one. All right, so here we go. We're getting ready to start our rough fit on the right side panel now. And last week we fitted the left side panel. Now we're going to do the right side panel, and we're hoping that we can take the lessons learned from fitting the left side and transfer that knowledge over to the right side and make it go by a little bit faster. But either way, we got a lot of hand sanding up ahead for us, but we're shooting for a thing of beauty status and nothing less, and so we want to make sure we do the job right, and we're going to put our full time and attention into it to make sure that happens. This time we're fitting up the template underneath here, and it's a pretty good fit. We got a pretty good fit going this time. Yeah, it's nice. Nice fit. This is a very rough fit still, but it's looking really good. I gotta take it off and do a little bit more trimming, and then I haven't figured out what we're gonna do here yet, but I'm thinking this is either gonna butt up against here or I'm gonna have it dip under. I'm not sure. Either way, there's trim that goes over here. This piece of trim's gonna go over here. Never gonna see it unless you go up underneath like that, and then it'll look fine no matter which way we go with it. If we butt it up against it or tip or have it just dip under, it's gonna look fine either way. Yeah, a lot of this isn't even gonna be seen, so. But when we're here, we're gonna be laying in the bed, looking up, and we don't want to see it if it's not looking good. And this is looking pretty good back here. It's a tricky corner, but we got it to fit. Got it to fit along the back. I'm gonna take it off and trim it on the back edge a little bit one more time, and over in this corner just a little bit more, and that'll allow me to drive it back just a tiny bit more and drive it this way just a little bit, and then we're gonna be happy with it. And then we'll go home and we'll take this template home, and I'll cut it out of the teak and varnish it a whole bunch of times, bring it back, and we're good to go. Last time we were here, I went ahead and installed this port light, and I sealed it up pretty good on the outside, but when I got here today, I noticed there were some drips here. So we know what that means. So I have a little bit more work to do, so I went outside, and since I don't have the trim plate on the outside mounted yet, those holes for the trim plate I imagine are what's causing moisture to get inside. So anyways, we'll get it, just a little bit of fine tuning. All in all, pretty happy with this. Was a little unhappy about the water dripping, but it's all right. That's the way it goes. We'll get it. Not a big deal. I just don't want it to become, you know, an ongoing thing. So we'll get it. All right. Here's a couple of views from us about halfway through fitting this panel. These panels are pretty tricky because they got a lot of compound corners and edges and odd shapes, and then the aft portion where it butts up against the bulkhead is a little bit curved. So you got to pay attention to all these gaps and all the spots that are touching, and trim just a little, you know, hand sand just a little bit off. You don't want to go a lot. So there's a lot of taking this up and down and checking and rechecking. And then also you have to have the right upward hand pressure on it, holding it into place. Not too much because you don't want to deform it, but you don't want it to be sitting too loose either, because it will give you false indicators of where your contact points are, and then you'll trim it. It can be trimmed incorrectly. So we're, like I said, we're about halfway through trimming this thing, and we're just trying to do a little bit of visual inspection and see how we're doing, and it's looking pretty good. So just a little bit more sanding on this, and we should be able to have this thing fitting pretty good, and then we'll put it back up and check it again. But we're getting pretty close. All right, we got a pretty good fit back here in this corner here. I got just a little bit more trimming to do, but you can see that once it's up tight, we got a pretty snug fit here. Not a lot of gap action, so that's good. When I release it, then it will. But what I'm going to do is I just need to trim a little bit more here, and then a little bit more in that section. That'll allow this area here to sit a little bit tighter, and then we'll sit flush, nice and flush along this rest of this edge here. We're pretty good back here. I don't think I'm going to trim anymore in this section here. I think I'm happy with it. And then looks pretty good. Looks pretty good along here. And like I said before, we're going to put some kind of a trim along here that's going to kind of conceal this edge. So really, it doesn't even have to be as good a fit as it is, but we got to do it. We're already here. We might as well make it good. So right in here, I'm going to take a little bit more off this edge that goes underneath here. And that will allow everything here to come just aft just a little bit. But really, if I wanted to, we could call it good just the way it is. But we're going to go ahead and trim just a little bit more off, and we're going to call it good. And then I'll go home and we'll clamp the teak piece over the top of this and cut it with the router, and we'll be good. We're going to have a nice fit. And then you can see right here, this is where we're probably going to mount the lamps that used to be in here. We got new ones. They're really nice. And same thing for over there. So yeah, it's coming along. Pretty happy with this action. And then yeah, then we'll move. Once we have these made, we're going to go ahead and move to make new panels here for this, and we'll just keep going until we have it all really nice back here. Oh yeah. And we definitely have to make new ones of these out of teak, because I don't know who likes this, but it's definitely not us. We're gonna have something nice back here for sure. It'd be kind of cool to put some lights in here, or maybe even some speakers. Have a little bit of music back here. Yeah, kind of cool. Maybe. And then we're gonna do that one also. Anyways, yeah, just keep on going. That's it. Came here after work today just to get this fitted so that I can take it home and have the teak one all varnished and trimmed up, ready to go, so we can bring it down here Friday and do the final fit on it. that's it for now. Working in the aft cabin overhead area, just wanted to show you the process flow we got going here a little bit. We used those white plastic panels, brought those home, used them as templates, cut out a piece of door skin. We brought the door skin panel back to the boat, hand fitted that till we got the really good fit we were looking for. Then we brought that home, cut it out, used that to cut out teak plywood panel, and now we're bringing that back to the boat and fitting that into place, and we're hoping it's going to turn into a thing of beauty. So the steps we use to cut out the teak panel is pretty simple. Once we have the door skin laid over the top, we trace an outline of it. That gives us a rough cut, and we cut that out with the jigsaw, and then we make sure it's just a little bit bigger than the actual size we need. And then we clamp the door skin, which has already been hand sanded and fitted. We clamp that right over the top of the rough cut teak panel, clamp those two together. Then we use the router with a following cutting bit on it. And we clamp everything together and use the router. And what it does, it's got a flush trim cutting bit on it. And it will cut an exact duplicate of the hand sanded fitted panel, the door skin one. It'll cut a duplicate of that out of the teak. Now we have the teak panel that is cut exactly the same as the door skin that was fitted, that panel that was fitted to the boat. And so now we have an exact replica of that made out of teak, which is exactly what we wanted. Now the next step is going to be lightly sand that, scuff it, smooth it, and then we're going to go ahead and put our first coat of varnish on that. We always put the varnish on it to help protect that thin layer of veneer, the teak veneer that's actually the top surface. We want to protect that as best we can, so we usually put one coat of varnish on it right away. Okay, so now we got one coat of varnish on there, so what do you think? Does that look better than that white piece of plastic or what? I think it looks pretty good if you ask me. Baby agrees, we like it, and we're definitely going to keep pressing on with this idea of replacing all those white plastic panels with teak panels. It's going to look really nice once we get it in the boat installed with the lights and everything in there. Just got to have that vision. Stay on track. So if you remember from last week's video, we decided we were going to take those white plastic panels, the vertical ones that were in the very back of the aft cabin. We're going to make those into teak panels as well. So we went ahead and brought those home, and we're going to cut those out. And we're just going to avoid the whole door skin part of that, and we're going to go straight to a teak panel and fit those. It's not a really big piece of teak, so if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. It's not like it's $100, but we'll just be really careful, and we're going to try and make it fit first time. All right, so here we are. We are in the aft cabin, laying down on the berth, the bed back here, and you can see the cheap plastic headliner here they put in, and we had that on this side here as well. And I've gone ahead and made a template, and then I went ahead and made this out of teak 1/4 inch plywood, and yeah, it's turned out really nice. Fits all really good everywhere. I'm really happy with the fit on it. But what I could do is so it's going to fasten. There's actually an attach point back here underneath it, and so you see it's gonna seal up that seam really good there. And then same thing here, but you can see we have a little bit of a gap here, and that's because what I need to do is I need to trim, just block sand it from here this way, and just take a little bit off, and this is going to be a really good fit right here, and that'll allow this. Actually, it looks like I might be able to go ahead and block sand here too a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and mark it off, and I'll put some tape on here and tell myself how much I need to trim off, and then we'll fit it again, and it's going to be a really good fit. And then the next project's going to be taking this junk off here, and we're going to make this out of teak also. I already put where I need to add, because if you look, you can see some slight gaps there. I don't like gaps there too. So anyways, we're going to make this out of teak plywood as well, and then that's going to fit up underneath here really nice. And I'm telling you what, this is going to be sharp back here. And then we got a light. We got a really nice light that mounts right here. And it has a glass, what do you call it, you know, shade on it. But it's colored the same color as like the teak. It's pretty sharp. And it has a USB plug-in in it too, so you can charge your phone while you're hanging out here. Set the phone in there and it's going to be charging. Anyways, and then we're replacing that light fixture there as well. We're going to do the same exact replacement here. We'll make another one out of teak, put it in here. And then I'm going to also take this and I'm going to make another one out of teak, and I'm going to follow it up here all the way out, and it's going to hide the seams here where these two join up. Yeah, so that's going to be sharp. This here is actually the very aft chain plate cover. So it gives you access to the chain plate, and both of these, all these teak panels here are going to come off. We have some signs of moisture there, and I know where it's coming from. It's coming from the aft chain plate here, and that tells me the bulkhead back here is most likely rotted. So we're gonna be doing a project on that down the road as well. But yeah, so anyways, this is coming along really nice. So looking good. Pretty happy with this. How this panel turned out. It looked really nice, so I'm happy with that. Anyways, the only thing, yeah, I think it turned out nice, so I'm happy with that. Okay, now it's time to do a little bit of fine tuning with the block sander by hand. We don't want to take a lot off. We're just taking a little bit off at a time because this is the teak panel and we don't want to over trim it. So we'll take a little bit off and keep checking it until we get it just right. Want to put that slight angle all the way across. As you might remember, we talked about cutting those side panels out of teak instead of making the door skin fit first and doing that. We're just going to go straight to fitting the teak panels for these little side vertical panels, and we'll try our luck at doing it right the first time so we don't have to recut another one. Okay, so we're doing a rough fit on this so far. I got a trim on the aft edge. It's having trouble sitting flush against the aft edge there. And then lower bottom edge also needs to be trimmed. And then you can see up here at the top, there's a gap back there. And we're gonna have some sanding to do here, but that's okay. I always trim them a little bit on the extra side because we can always take some off, but we can't put any back on. So I'm gonna go ahead and get sanding on this and see if I can get it fitted before it's time to leave today. So just to kind of give you an example of the drastic change in looks, here's that white plastic panel, and you see what that looks like. And then here's the teak vertical panel, and imagine this with some nice varnish on it and maybe some speakers mounted in there or something. That's going to look pretty sweet. So that's the vision we're going with, and that's the goal we're after. We're just going to keep going until we get it the way we want it. Well, we're getting closer. So I got to take a little bit more off here because you can see there's a gap right there. And then I need to trim here to here because it's net there. And then up here we're going to trim also because you can see it's net at the top there. But anyways, yeah, the trick about this edge here is it actually bows inward right about in here, so it makes it difficult because it's not a flat edge, it's not a square edge. So I'm finding that out the hard way, but lots of sanding, that's for sure, lots of sanding. So we're looking good down here at the bottom edge. I think that's going to be we're just going to keep that the same for now. And then I still got to fit the front edge. You can see there's a lot to trim off there still, but this gets hidden underneath trim. This, we don't have trim for it yet, but you know, it might happen. We might get some trim for it later, but we'll see. I'm going to make it fit good either way. So I don't know if you can see or not in the picture here, but we're struggling a little bit on that aft edge, so the long vertical aft edge. The picture's tilted a little bit to kind of help show that a little bit better, but that's where we're struggling because the very aft bulkhead is a little bit contoured inward, and so it's kind of like creating a little bit of a bow there that we have to sand and try and match that contour shape. It's getting there, but it's taking a lot more sanding than we thought it would. We're showing a few different angles just to kind of help show you, the viewer, our idea on our concept and what we're trying to accomplish here with putting this teak panel in here. But just imagine it with the varnish on there, and imagine with the area cut out with some speakers in there and a little bit of LED lighting, backlighting in there and stuff. I think it'll look pretty nice. It's going to be a really cozy area for hanging out right in the evening before bedtime. Okay, we're really close now. I just have a couple areas to do a bit of final trim in, and then it's going to be a fit. It's in here on the forward edge now, and you can see right up here, a little bit there needs to be trimmed off, and a little bit right there, and then a little bit back here, and then in the very lower aft corner, just a tiny bit there, and then where you see the gaps at, once I get those areas, the high areas trimmed off, those gaps will close up and it'll be good. We're getting there, almost. I'm back here, but we're not quite there yet. So here's the teak panels that I have fitted up for the overhead area under the berth there. So okay, there's the view with the overhead panels removed and the little side vertical panel taken off, and it looks kind of sad that way, but we're gonna make it look really nice. You just stay tuned, see our progress, and we're gonna make this aft cabin look really beautiful. Okay, for now it's time to move on from the aft cabin teak panel fitting process, and we're gonna go back to working on these aft bulkhead port lights that we've been trying to install and taking care of that crack in the gel coat. We got a lot of work cut out for us back here, and this is the area where we're not so good yet. Well, so today didn't go so good for us. I was actually in the process of mounting this trim ring here around the port light, and the first problem that happened was screw busted off. This guy here busted off in there, so I had to go ahead and grind around here to expose the head of the fastener, and then I don't know if you can see or not, but I ended up cutting a slot in the head of the fastener. I cut a slot in there with this in the end of my Dremel, and then that allowed me to back the fastener out of this hole with this slotted screwdriver. So that was unfortunate, but that's what happened there. And then one of the other holes that I previously filled, let's see, I previously filled this hole here, and then when I was running the screw down, it obviously wasn't a good bond because the potting compound, it's epoxy, thickened epoxy, it popped right back out. So I went ahead and ground that out, cleaned it up really good, and so what now is going to happen is I'm going to re-epoxy it again, and we're going to hope for a better bond. And so since I was at it, there was these cracks here where it looked like at some time somebody had either mislocated the Portlight and glued this, tried to re-fiberglass that back in or whatever. So what I went ahead and done is I took my Dremel and I followed the cracks down back into the fiberglass. And anyway, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jam some epoxy in there, and we're gonna fill that back in, and then later when the weather gets better I'll fair it in with fairing compound, and then I'll put some gel coat back over the top of it. So I spent most of my time today just trying to get that trim ring down, and what a pain that was. So I'm sure that I could have done some better preparation to avoid that, but live and learn. So now we know that we're going to do a better job on the rest of them. We got 16 to go, so we'll get it. Anyways, that's what happened. What's going on today? It is not a thing of beauty. That's correct. You heard right. We're struggling back here on these Portlights. If I have to say what my least favorite thing to do on this boat so far is, I'd say it's these Portlights. These things, they look simple, they seem simple, but putting them in and mounting them, well, let's just say I have room for improvement in that category. Okay, since our last application of thickened epoxy we used to fill these holes did not bond well, we'll clean this area up really good, and then we'll clean it with some acetone and make sure it's nice and dry. No moisture, no sanding residue or anything left in there, and it should bond good this time. Okay, and here's what's left of the broken screw that we had to remove out of there with the Dremel. We cut a slot in the tip of the screw and backed it out with a standard screwdriver. Oh, don't worry. If you want to know how to do it, I'm sure I'm going to break another screw off at some point, and we can do a detailed video on how to remove these things if you want. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but I'm sure it will. Okay, as we were showing earlier, we went ahead and took the Dremel and opened up these cracks in the gel coat and fiberglass and ground it down. Got a good clean radius going in there, and now we filled that in with some thickened epoxy. And we're doing the same thing to those screw holes that we opened up earlier, and we're going to rebond that potting thickened epoxy in there to fill those holes, and then we'll re-drill them later, and hopefully the screws will start in there no problems and everything's good to go. So this area where we've done the repair on the gel coat with the thickened epoxy, we'll come back later and fair this in with some fairing compound, and eventually we're going to learn how to do gel coat, and we'll try to color match it, so hopefully it'll never show up and you won't be able to see it. So our process on bedding these Portlights in is we're sealing them in with 4200 to fill all the gaps and space around the Portlight frames into the hull. And then the outer is a trim ring goes on, and we're bedding that trim ring down with butyl tape this time. And before they had them bedded down to the hull with 5200, which tore away fiberglass, gel coat, and all kinds of everything else. So this time we're doing it with butyl tape, and it makes it a lot easier. And if we have to do maintenance or whatever later, it'll come off, and all we have to do is clean up the butyl tape. Now after that beautiful repair in the gel coat and the trim ring, you can't even tell where any damage was. This looks good as new. This looks like how it probably came from the factory. Can anybody spot where the repair was at? I didn't think so. So after yesterday's repairs, I went ahead and put a big layer of butyl tape around the outside, well, the back side of this ring, the trim ring here. And then I also put 4200 in every one of the screw fastener holes. And that should take care of it for now. And then as long as this doesn't leak, we should be good to go for now. And then hopefully maybe in springtime when the weather gets better, I can pop this ring back off, and we'll do a little bit better job on the seal and clean off all this excess that's around the ring here, and just check, see how things are going. Anyways, this here, the epoxy from yesterday, set in really nice. So I went ahead and sanded that smooth, and then like I said, I want to put some fairing compound over this, fair it out, and then eventually we'll try and match the gel coat with a gel coat repair. But yeah, and also around here, you know, all these areas where I mangled it trying to get this apart earlier on after we purchased the boat. So yeah, got some challenges back here. I've not really done any gel coat repairs very well in the past, but I do want to learn. So anyways, that's where we're at on this. It's a little bit of progress. Need to put on the safety glasses first for this job. We're going to be grinding some fiberglass. Rotate. Do you like to save yourself time? Do you like to save yourself sweat? Do you like to save yourself struggling and energy? Then do yourself a favor. Don't do what I did here. Don't add too much epoxy. Don't add too much fiberglass. Add just enough and it'll get you through. Wow. We got a lot of sand in ahead of us here. That wasn't the best decision to make right there. Whew. That's gonna take forever.
A few moments later.
After what seemed like forever of not so glorious sanding, we finally got that level down with the rest of the surface of the boat. Our intention was not to make this the strongest part of the boat. Our intention was just to repair the areas of fiberglass that was torn up from the 5200 when we were removing the Portlight in the beginning. Well, I think we did make it stronger than the rest of the boat, it seems like, but just joking, of course. Well, we're going to learn from this experience, and we're not going to add so much fiberglass and so much resin when we're just trying to do a minor repair. All right, we got that smoothed out. Nice and pretty much flush with the rest of the surface around it, with the exception of right here. But this is going to be underneath the window trim. And I'm going to fill this in with butyl tape anyway, so nobody's even going to see it. And then later, when the weather gets better and more predictable, I'm going to sand this and fill this in with fairing compound and then re-gel coat it. So this is just for now. I want to get the window mounted, the Portlight. Yep. All right, so we're working on locating this Portlight here on the other side. We have that one located. Now the problem with this one is the cutout in the plywood needs to be opened up a little bit more on the upper side, especially in the corners. It's not allowing it to come up high enough, and so it's not getting any gap at the bottom on the outside of the deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this back out, and then we'll open up the radius here in the plywood just a little bit more and allow it to have a better fit. So yeah, it'll be nice to have both of these in though. But I struggled on this side, so I'm not expecting this one to go easy either. So a lot of times I have to re-drill the holes, apply some thickened epoxy, let it set up, re-drill all location holes, thread them, and then put everything back together. So it's not easy, but anyways, that's what happens when you're working with an older boat and the holes have been stripped out by a previous owner, and so I just got to refill them back in and start over. But it's alright. It's fun and it's a learning experience, which is what we like. Till next time. So we'll go ahead and pop this out. These things here, these are really nice to have, but they don't last very long. So I'm gonna have to get a couple more of them. But they are very handy for holding things when you only have two hands, you know. So anyways, we got that out. And then, like I said, what we're gonna do now is I gotta basically just open up this radius a little bit more. And same thing here. I wanna make it to where I can actually see the hull of the boat here instead of just looking at wood. So we're gonna go ahead and do that next. That's lame. Oh well. We'll fix it when we varnish. Alright, I think that takes care of that trim action. Should be able to call that good now. Okay, we're gonna clean up this frame of the Portlight here. It's got some corrosion and junk on it, so we'll clean that up. Yep. Really, we just want it, relatively clean. But we want a nice fresh surface for the other seal to attach to. So it looks pretty good. I'll wipe that down with some acetone and call it good. This is the part I don't really enjoy doing, but it's a necessary evil. Okay. What we're working on here is we're trying to locate the holes, and we're trying to drill them just to the right size for the screw. And the problem is I'm not using the right size drill bit, so I'm drilling them just a little bit more undersized holes than I'd like to, and so getting the screw to start and to cut threads into that thickened epoxy that we filled the holes with isn't going so well. So I'm trying to avoid from shattering the epoxy and cutting threads at the same time. So I have to run the screw in by hand a little bit, cut some threads, back it out a little bit, forward again a little bit, and keep repeating that process over and over again until I get the screw to go all the way in. The reason I didn't want to go up in the next size up is because I don't want the screw holes to strip out, so I'm trying to just do a little balancing act here and try to get the right size hole by using the screw to cut the hole size without cracking the epoxy out. Too tight. When you hear the wood start to, that's too much. The other thing we have to be careful of is not to tighten the screws down too much, which would cause the wood to bend too tight in the radius and it could cause this teak plywood to crack, so we don't want to do that either. Alright, well, we got the second port light, that one over there. Got that one installed, at least on the inside portion anyways. It's in, mounted, and not too bad. Tell you what, man, it's very tricky right here because this is a radius, and anyways, the plywood does not like to bend to match this. Yep, and you gotta be really careful not to over tighten those screws because a little too tight and it will crack. So we're about as tight as we want to get on these fasteners. Anyways, not too bad. Didn't get as far as I wanted to, but we got these in, which is nice. Hopefully no leaks over the next few days if it rains. And we'll be back up here in a couple days to check on it. So anyways, not too bad for progress. Do you remember what this area of the boat looked like when we first purchased the boat? Rotted teak plywood, leaking port lights. Now look, port lights look like they're brand new. Teak plywood looks immaculate. What else could you ask for? This is really starting to look like a thing of beauty. Feeling pretty good about these port lights going in. We struggled, but look at how they look now. They look really great. This is coming along good. We're gaining some confidence now.
Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's video and the work that we've done and the work that we show you.
Yeah, we made really good progress this week, and we're pretty happy with how far we got, and hope you guys liked the video, and we'll just keep on improving week after week. Two things will get better: our video quality and content, which should get a little bit better each time, and also the work. You know, the work we're doing, we haven't done any of this before, so this is all first for us, and so our processes are improving little by little each time. We could already see things that we should have done better on the past, but we can't. We just don't have the schedule time to go back and redo these things. So they're good, and we're just continue to get better over time. So really hope you guys enjoy what you've seen, and we really appreciate if you guys could like and subscribe, and please comment. Let us know what you think. If there was a way that you think there's a way to do it better, please let us know. We got a lot of this work ahead of us, and it's all similar work throughout the boat. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy.
Alright, thanks for watching, guys. If you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe down below.
Yep. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye. Now there's a nice looking shell. I'd keep that one.
And what's that?
My idea. Oh, we got a boat coming. It's this guy. Nice. Dang. 5 engines on the back. That was sweet.